We arrived at the border maybe almost a month after the conflict in Ukraine started. So I think the images we saw in the early days of the invasion of huge streams of people crossing the border have actually died down quite a bit. But the mood of the border crossing amongst those that were arriving was still pretty somber, and obviously people were tired. They looked a bit shell-shocked. People were carrying everything that they owned, and then suddenly they were in this big busy area where people were handing them things.
And you mentioned now that the stream of refugees is somewhat smaller than perhaps when the invasion began, but obviously these towns in Poland have seen a massive kind of surge in the number of people that have been arriving. How are residents of those towns dealing with the massive changes that they've seen over the last couple of weeks?
So we've been in Poland nearly a week now, and we've been to quite a number of towns, as far away as Warsaw, which is in the middle of the country, to quite a few towns closer to the border with Ukraine. And I have to say that there are refugees everywhere. Every town you go to will have a huge number of people arriving at stations and bus stations, because there's been a concerted effort from Poland to make sure that the refugees are spread out around the country. And at the same time, I think Polish people are aware of the sacrifices of their neighbors next door, and that they're also identify with the feelings of fear and apprehension of having a neighbor like Russia, and how quickly things could change, and how devastating it would be to have this invasion of your own country.
And from your reporting, do you think that there is a concern amongst people in Poland of the conflict spilling over into their country as well?
Absolutely. I've spoken to so many people who are feeling uneasy about the conflict next door. They know that Putin is a completely unpredictable element in this situation. And I think a lot of people didn't expect that for him to actually invade Ukraine. And now he has. They don't really see any reason why he would stop there. There's also a heightened security presence. As we drive around these areas, we see a lot more army activity. We've seen like civilian airports that have missile systems around them, this sort of thing. And so I think there is a big sense of tension in these border areas, that they are now the new front line, effectively, of what has been proven to be a very bellicose neighbor, that is Russia.